Ladies and gentlemen, let's start off with the social media wars on America, freedom, liberty, freedom of speech, the republic, you know, that kind of stuff. Stuff that kind of matters a little bit. Folks, this is really sickening. On a very serious note, Tucker kind of hit on this last night a bit, and it's really infuriating to me, too, that every time now a negative story emerges about the Democrats, like Biden selling the country out for his family's financial interests, that what do the Democrats do? Because they think you're stupid, and their media allies do for them. I said the same thing, Democrats, media allies. This must be Russian disinformation. You know, I said yesterday, I just want to repeat this again. We can't, there's no future like this. You understand that, right? There is no future for our constitutional republic like this if we cannot rely on independent arbiters in the media to give us a common set of facts we agree on. Please tell me you understand that. When Russians who want to disrupt our republic, which they want to do now, they embark on strategies that do what? They embark on strategies that create internal division. The Russian strategy is exactly what the media is doing now. I'm not suggesting the media is working with Russians to do it. I'm suggesting that enemies of the United States like Russia understand we are too powerful to break up from afar. We can only be broken up from within. If you were going to break us up from within, Joe, tell me this, please tell me this makes sense. The best way to do it would to create such chaos and confusion about what's actually going on that the nation goes to war with itself because everybody's telling each other a different set of lies.
That's it. Yeah.
This is...
Yeah, we got it.
Again, I'm not suggesting the media is working with the Russians. Some have, by the way. I'm just suggesting that a foreign government like the Russians that doesn't like us, a nuclear power, if they wanted to destroy the United States, this would be the way to do it. To get supposedly independent arbiters of truth to create false narratives that get Americans to go to war with one another. We now have what looks to be evidence, strong evidence, that the former vice president of the United States, who could be the next president, Joe Biden, sold this country out and may have been on the dole of enemies of the United States, either him or members of his family. We know his son was paid off by the Russians. We know his son was paid off by the Chinese. And we know his son was paid off by the Ukrainians, who I wouldn't call enemies of the United States. The other two I would. But I would definitely say as a foreign government, because they are the Ukrainians. Instead of investigating that, the media decides to engage in a ridiculous false narrative that this may be a Russian disinformation campaign, instead of asking basic questions like, are these emails real? Did Hunter Biden, in fact, sell the country out to enemies of the United States, notably the Russians, by taking a payoff from the mayor of Moscow's wife and by the Chinese? And is he giving money to his father, as evidenced by these emails? Where's that investigation? Let's look at NBC. Here he goes. Fusion Ken Delanian, always to the rescue, folks. You know Fusion Ken Delanian and NBC? Fusion Ken is the guy, whenever someone in the intel community, a deep stater who has no interest in actual intelligence, and the person doing it probably doesn't have any intelligence either, outside of the strategic use of the term, what happens? They feed something to Fusion Ken, here he goes yesterday, to distract you from the story that Hunter Biden and the Biden family may have been bought off by enemies of the United States. Here's Fusion Ken. Feds examining whether alleged Hunter Biden emails are linked to a foreign intel operation. Notice what that title doesn't say. Feds examining whether Hunter Biden's been blackmailed by a foreign government. Nobody's concerned about that. So someone leaked this to Fusion Ken, who has the intelligence of a shoebox, who immediately runs it at NBC so that Americans, again, are confused about what's going on. Not that the potential future president of the United States, God forbid Joe Biden, could be in the back pocket of a nuclear power that hates us, the Chinese and the Russians, two nuclear powers. That's not the story. The story becomes how people who found the information could be the targets of a Russian disinformation operation, which is phenomenal because Fusion Ken Delanian Fusion Ken Delaney at NBC was one of the first people to pump an actual Russian disinformation story by pumping the collusion hoax, which we know was partially, at least, the product of Russian disinformation. Do you understand what I'm telling you here? Please think this through. Fusion Ken Delaney, one of the biggest collusion hoaxers out there, this total knucklehead, shoebox IQ guy, pumped into the American bloodstream a fake story about Trump colluding with the Russians, unquestionably debunked by any sane person, pumped it into the American bloodstream, forcing Americans to go into ideological war with each other, nearly fracturing the country and resulting in a fake hoax impeachment later and a 2-year plus probe, the Mueller probe, the witch hunt of the Trump operation, when you factor in the other probes too. He does that. That's the product of an actual Russian disinformation campaign. Now we get information that the Bidens may really be colluding with foreign powers and all kinds of shady financial deals right before an election. And Fusion Ken now he's concerned about Russian disinformation? Now he's concerned. Again, folks, you can tell it's been a bad week for the Democrats. The Coney Barrett hearings did not go well for them. These Biden bombshells are beyond bombshells. Again, these are just nuclear bombs. And of course, Biden can't give a straight answer on any question. They're worried because I'll give you some, hopefully, good news at the end of the show today about some numbers here that are not looking good for Biden right now. So what do? They rush to people like Fusion Ken Delaney at NBC and get them to run stories to distract you from what's really going on. As always, Tucker Carlson, his 8 p.m. show on Fox, did a great job. This is about a minute cut of Tucker last night, summing up beautifully what the real controversy is here and what Fusion Ken from NBC and others don't want you to see. Check this out.
Joe Biden still has not been forced to explain why he fired Ukraine's top prosecutor at precisely the moment his son was being paid to get him to fire Ukraine's top prosecutor. Nor has Joe Biden addressed whether or not he personally benefited from the Burisma contract. But there are tantalizing hints. Last night, former Mayor Rudy Giuliani published what he said was yet another email from Hunter Biden's laptop. It's a note to one of his children. It's sad, and it's fraught, and it's personal, and we're not going to quote it at length. But at the end, there's this, quote, "Don't worry. Unlike your grandfather, I won't make you give me half your salary." What does that mean exactly? Well, we don't know. There may be more detail in the laptop, but unfortunately we don't have access to that. But the question remains, how has Joe Biden lived in extravagance all these years on a government salary? No one has ever answered that question.
You believe this? We now have, 2 weeks from an election, a major party presidential candidate who's leading in a lot of polls, Joe Biden, who could potentially have been bought off, him and his family, by major foreign power enemies of the United States that possess nuclear weapons. And the media, which bathe themselves in Russian disinformation to promote anti-Trump stories, their only concern is this Russian disinformation? And let me be clear. I'm not suggesting we shouldn't investigate the genesis of these emails, the origin, if they're authentic, if they were manipulated by foreign actors, Russian or elsewhere. We should. But how is the Joe Biden family not under investigation right at this very second? I said it last night on Fox, and I'm going to repeat it again here. I said it this morning on Fox and Friends First. If Joe Biden does not exit the race, and these emails are authenticated, which I'm assuming will happen shortly, if they are authenticated, Joe Biden needs to immediately exit the race. He is an active national security threat to the United States of America, both to you and your family, your neighbors, anyone else who lives in this country. He is an active national security threat. That is not hyperbole. That is a fact. A fact. If he does not step aside, and God forbid is elected president as an ongoing active national security threat, he could be blackmailed. He needs to be impeached immediately. Immediately. I'm not concerned about the politics of it. I'm concerned that this guy is an existential threat to this country. I am not kidding. Can you imagine the blackmail material they would possess on this guy? Remember, it's not what we've seen about Hunter Biden. Can't blackmail him if it's already out in public. It's what we haven't seen.
You just heard Dan Bongino.